Why, hello traders from around the world. This is Jeremy Alexander Newsome with reallifetrading.com. Hope everyone's doing fantastic. We got the SPY on the board, which is the ETF that tracks the S&P 500. Got a lot of worried text today. Chicken Little, the sky's falling. Is this the top? Is this the top? It's a good question. I mean, theoretically, any day could be, right? One candle can change everything in the markets. I'm just personally not on board yet that this is the top of the market, that we're going to crash. Anything of that sort. That's just not really not really what I'm feeling right now in the overall broad markets. Now, granted, did lose some money today trying to buy the dip on some a specific stock, Tesla, and I'll be showing you guys that one in a little bit. SPY, though, did come down to the 20. You got this retest gap right here. We are still retesting, right? So there's a little bit of a lower shadow going on. Granted, things are just a touch bearish out there in the tech world. Look at this Qs. So the gap on the Qs is pretty bearish, right? That's the takeaway from really today. Is there is definitely some bears coming in into the tech world, and I don't know how far it's going to go. What I can say is you got the 100 simple moving average right in front of the face, and usually, right, historically, September and October are more bearish months. I've been talking about that really back in, if you go back to some of the stock reviews in May, June, I mentioned that the markets would make another high. Once we were back here in mid-June, I mentioned we would make another high and then have some kind of sideways movement and then pull back into September, October, and then hopefully dip and then go higher. That's what I mentioned way back when. And I mean, honestly, that would be a very seasonal thing if we did that. September, October are usually weaker months. We've talked about that really for a while now. So if we do actually get a pullback on the Qs, a big one, big-ish, I will look to buy the dip. When I say big-ish, I mean if it trades down to 136, I'll be kind of surprised, but I will look to buy down there. It could go down a little bit lower. The interesting thing is the last few times, namely back in here, we broke through the 100 before we bounced, and these 2 or 3 times we didn't actually make it to the 100 before we bounced. I think we're going to do something more like this. I think we do break that 100 a little bit and then bounce. If we do bounce, and I think we will on the Qs. So anyway, just kind of my thought process. I don't think this is the top of the market. It might be the top of the market for a little bit, but we're still getting some lower shadows come in. This is a pretty anticipated pullback. I mean, look at the Dow. All of these white candles, are you kidding me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. The markets just can't go up forever, right? Remember that. They do have to have their pullbacks. You get a move like this, which is really nice, and you get a little bit of a pullback, and then it bounces higher, and you get a little bit of a pullback, and then it bounces higher. So, right, sell high, buy low. The markets were literally at all-time highs days ago. So if you didn't lock in some profits, protect yourself, move up some stops, whatever the process was, that's kind of what we're getting today is that interesting pullback effect, and it's happening kind of across the board. So definitely some stocks were requested today. Apple, of course, the talk of the town. A lot of people worried about what Apple's going to do and what's going to happen on Apple. The interesting thing is, here's the 100 simple moving average. We played Apple bullishly, believe it or not, on Thursday for a small gain off the 100. Tried the same thing on Tesla today, which we'll look at next, and lost 1.7R, but that's okay. So Apple today gapped down below this hammer-ish candle, which is not the most bullish thing in the world, in my personal opinion. This is, again, just a pure sell the news, buy the rumor, right? Buy the rumor. You got this retest gap, white candle gapped up. We retested, we made all-time highs. Lower high came in with volume. I posted just days ago about the divergence on Apple and that it needed to slow down or pull back, and it did pull back pretty significantly on Apple. So my thoughts, there's the close of the market right there. My thoughts on Apple at this point, let me just kind of zoom out here, big picture. Move that bull put spread. So I'll be unraveling that cookie sometime in the next week or so. Here's my thoughts on Apple. Now, yes, this is a little bit of a bearish retracement for sure. You've had a good little ABC wave down. We probably rotate higher, and if we roll over, something like this is my guess. So yes, we probably bounce just a tad, pull down a little bit more, and then coming into earnings potentially we bounce. But again, September, October usually more bearish. The stance rally coming into November. Apple could pull all the way down to 143 And again, if you went long on Apple just a few days ago, longer term options, you either A, got stopped out, or B, you're still holding. If you're in shares, there's a lot of real life traders in shares for the long haul on Apple. So it's a location that doesn't really scare me right now. Short term. Here's Tesla. And Tesla, it did stop right at the 100 simple moving average today. Is it going to bounce? We'll see. We'll see. I don't love the fact that we closed below this really strong bullish candle. I mean, this was a phenomenal move on Tesla. It did trade right to resistance, slammed its head against the previous all-time high resistance, and that was it. That was as far as she moved. And will we bounce off the 100? I'm going to be watching it because Tesla owes me about an hour and a half today. Here's the 5-minute chart, and here's how I played Tesla 2 times today. First time I played it was an entry like this. Entry there, stop here somewhere, and I could have gotten out for an R gain right there. I thought about it. I was like, I didn't pull the trigger. Ended up moving the stop up to here, and then I kind of put the stop right here somewhere, and then got stopped out of there. And then I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can try it again. So zooming back in, you had this really nice hammer candle come in after it made a new low. So good hammer candle, good volume. You're still out of support. So let me try that again. Entry here, stop here, target there for another R, and then boom, like 3 minutes later, I got stopped out again. So yes, down on Tesla a little bit today, 1.7 R down on the day. Did have a bullish swing trade trail us out on TWLO. So TWLO, we were in bullish. I don't know why my trading view hasn't been updating recently. But anyway, last week, this is kind of what I drew on TWLO. I wanted it to do this, and as you can see, I wanted it to bounce. So on Friday, we moved our stop actually up to here, $38.01, right below the low of this candle. And we got trailed out today for about 0.25 R. So very small gain on TWLO. Interestingly enough, still in GILD. GILD, we got triggered in, been in this one for about a week, so that'll be interesting to see. So the request for airlines, Delta, not doing all that much. I do think this hammer candle is a bottom of some of the airlines. All right, this is the hammer candle we got 2-3 weeks ago. And really what we're doing the last 3 weeks is forming a pennant pattern. So obviously it could break down and bounce again. As long as we stay above the low of the last 2-3 weeks down there with that hammer candle on Delta, I think we slowly go higher. American Airlines did have a little bit of a bullish day today, making a higher high, 4 white candles in a row. So again, this is not the time to buy American Airlines, but I think a little bit of a small pullback would be good. Here's your exponential moving averages, and we're above, we're above all those at this particular point in time. So good higher low, some good volume, something like this, and that would be where you'd look to buy around 47 on American Airlines. Overall, it looks relatively tasty. Here is Southwest Airlines, here's some more LUV. Adrian Lee's in some shares, bullish. Mentioned this one a few times in some previous stock reviews that this $51 price range would be a great long-term location. I didn't see anything short-term, but previous all-time high right there acted as a old resistance, new support once before, and now it's doing it again. This is actually a pretty easy setup, right? All-time high, retest, breakout again, another all-time high retest. Could it be a head and shoulders pattern? Of course, it could. The question will simply remain, will we start rolling over? And that's what stops are for, right? We don't know the future because double tops can look a lot like double tops, and then they do this again, right? They go higher. Head and shoulders can look a lot like this, and they can trade down and then they can bounce. We've seen that happen a lot as well. So you never know, right? You got to use stops, you got to protect yourself, but you can't be afraid of losing. That can't be one of the reasons that keeps you out of trading because that's a guarantee in the markets. IBM. So IBM, I was a little bit bearish on it a while ago. Would have gotten trailed out around here, but never got triggered into the puts I was looking for on IBM. Weekly charts, take that off as well. So you had the inside week last week. You had a really strong bullish candle this week, which is September 11th. That week. Here's the daily chart and a little bit of volume spikes coming in. So yes, this does appear to be a pennant pattern to me. If IBM can start breaking out, making some higher highs or higher lows here soon, that'd be pretty strong, especially since you got some selling today. Look across the board. If you can find some stocks that were stronger while today's market was weaker, look to play those. That's what you're going to want to keep your eyes out for. Seagate Technology, inside candle. Looks like a little bit of a channel is forming down here. Here's kind of that channel-ish kind of a feel. I could probably draw the line a little bit lower. But again, if it trades back down to the $31 price range, look to buy the dip. This is a 10% channel right here. That's a really strong move. And if, of course, we close above that resistance on Seagate Technology, I'd be a little bit bullish. Lowe's and Home Depot, speaking of stocks that went against the market, that was one of them. Lowe's up 1.5% today on the daily chart. Looks good. Weekly chart, strong, pretty strong candle. Long-term moving averages, what's interesting is we broke out of that little consolidation. Today was a good pop. So yes, I like Lowe's. Keep your eyes on that one. I also like Home Depot. I mean, right now in Home Depot, you're almost at the all-time highs anyway. Last time we looked at it in a stock review just a few days ago and talked about this Morningstar reversal pattern right here. We broke above that high. I mentioned if you're going to go bullish on Home Depot, that's where. So right now it's at an all-time high. It's going to be a little tough to buy today, but if it breaks out, really proves itself, then feel free if you're not in to see if you can buy some type of dip on Home Depot. But right now the trend looks pretty good. Here's Nordstrom, ticker symbol JWN. Nordstrom, this is the weekly chart, and the 100 simple is going to be a big resistance right there. That's about what, 48.35. So if we can break out of that resistance at some point, it looks pretty good. Overall, pretty flat. The daily chart doesn't look atrocious, but again, it's really, really neutral. I mean, we can see all the way back from 2017, we're going very sideways. So if you're looking at playing Nordstrom, bullish to neutral would be kind of a strategy and approach that I would look at on this one. Here's silver, and silver, the epitome of sideways. Pretty much, again, not doing very much. Silver, a great buy low, sell high commodity. Anytime it gets down below or in the mid to low 15s, I look to buy some. And I just buy a physical silver. I don't have any ETF shares right now. I've had some before in the past. But we're right in between the long-term moving averages. We're stuck in the middle right now. It probably continues higher, more than likely, with the North Korea stuff and problems going on and issues over there. People like to hoard the safe metals, gold, silver, things of that nature. And it would make sense for those to kind of bounce here. Today's candle was pretty good overall. And here's the weekly chart on gold. A lot of people viewing this as a triangle breakout, and you'll kind of notice a really good support resistance right there. We broke out of it and we are retesting. So all I'm simply saying is, if you're looking at playing silver and gold, I would be watching for a bullish position. Healthcare ETF was requested, which is a fun one. XLV made all-time highs just last week. It is up there right now. Here's the daily chart, and we're slowly pulling back, which I like. But you did get a little bit of a hammer candle yesterday being Friday. Previous all-time high, boom, boom. We're pulling back to that price. So if you bought on Friday, today did make a higher high and a higher low. If it's going to bounce, this place makes sense. If it doesn't bounce and starts rolling over, look to lose small. 100 simple would be the next spot I would look to buy the dip off of. Another ETF that was requested, XLY. Consumer Discretionary Etf. Here's the weekly chart. Very sideways. Very sideways. Nice little channel, short term. Daily time frame, I would simply say buy it as support around 88.16 if you can get it. If you can get it down there. Otherwise, bullish to neutral is how I'd approach that one. Shares or whatever. And a few traders asked about Litecoin again. Then where has it been? Where is it in the stock reviews? Mentioned 2 or 3 days ago. A nice little buying pattern shaped up. This relative low, kind of tweezer bottom location. Very nice, approximate 50% pullback on Litecoin, folks. So for those cryptocurrency traders, I think this is a relatively healthy pullback. I think this is a good time to buy some cryptos. Ticker symbol ARNC, had a lot of requests on Friday. I like it. ARNC, decent breakout. Never looked at this stock before in my life. Here's a support resistance right here. It broke out, looked to pull back. This would be the spot. Nice high wave candle. Look to go long if it makes some higher highs. Cliffs Natural Resources getting smoked along with US Steel. Made some lower lows, but a little bit of a hammerish candle. This is the daily chart right here. So US Steel and Cliffs, yes, a tad bearish. This candle going to be pretty important. If we break below the low of this candle, we're going lower. If we break above the high on Cliffs Natural Resources, buy low, sell high. Andrew, hoping your covered calls expired worthless on Cliffs. Avo Pharmaceuticals, Avo Pharmaceuticals, had a big breakout way back in June, has moved very strongly. Here's the moving averages. And here's your pennant pattern. Higher lows right in here, lower highs right in here. Personally, I would like it off the 50. You can only bounce off the 20 so many times, and this would be like the 6th or 7th time it's done that. Keep an eye on this pennant pattern to break. I don't know what direction it does, but short term, that's how it would move. And then if it can pull back to the 50, that's where I would buy the dip, because it's already had a gargantuanly strong run, back from 80 cents, right? Really, really big move. So, yeah, $3. A pullback into $3, I think, would be a good buy the dip location on that one. Got 3 less. SBLX. Is it SBLX? SBLX. Might type in something wrong. I'll look at it later. Here's Square, ticker symbol SQ, and Square pulling back to the 20, right? Again, Square made an all-time high just last week. Stocks don't make all-time highs forever, folks. Sometimes people do lock in the profit. So decent little pullback on Square, nice little cute one. The weekly chart, we did get a retest gap here in a weekly. So yes, it could pull back a little bit farther, but the trend right now is unquestionably bullish. So we got the direction from here on out. It's just timing. If it pulls down to the 100, it'd be a good buying opportunity, right? When you're taking trades, remember, folks, we start doing this. These are the places to sell, not buy. When we start making these all-time highs, right? We start making this trend. Sell, buy into weakness. Sell, buy into weakness. Sell. You guys sensing a pattern yet? Buy into weakness. I'm sorry all these other companies just teach you incorrectly about buying breakouts and all-time highs and stuff like that, and I apologize. Stop listening to them. Sign up with reallifetrading.com. We're just better than everybody else. Buy the dip. Hashtag buy the salsa. SQ looking nice. Ticker symbol TITN. Last on the list for today. TITN. Titan Machinery. Let's go look at this. Weekly time frame. Looks a little choppy, pretty sideways. Pulled back to an okay support down there at 12 bucks, but I don't think I would have caught it. Daily chart, we're just battling our head against that 200. This could be an interesting little bracket trade, right? If it breaks out bullish, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be short, and if it breaks down bearish, I wouldn't be long. This is a pretty interesting location, nice little resistance. Interesting to see exactly what happens with short term. I don't see a lot of amazing direction. Looks pretty choppy overall. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for me today. A lot of requests. Thanks for sending them in. Guess what? You're going to get another real life stock review for free on Wednesday. Tomorrow night, class number 5 of futures. Make sure to sign up. It's entirely free for the world. reallifetrading.com. Click on this banner right there. Sign up for free. We're going to love to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, you rock. I'll see you later. Until next time, love life, live life, and trade it. Bye.